Hey, it's Faith Talk Live. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
What a pleasure to talk with Charlene Quint. She's a family law attorney in the Chicago area, and her practice focuses on helping women overcome domestic abuse. She's the founder of abusecare.org, and she's an author of a book called Overcoming the Narcissist, Sociopath, Psychopath, and Other Domestic Abusers. How you doing, Charlene?
I'm doing great. How are you folks today?
We're good. Thanks for joining us.
We're so glad we could catch up with you. We do want to talk to you. There's some stats here that I read on the release that I got. 1 in 3 women are experiencing stalking, rape, or physical violence in the relationships, and half are experiencing emotional and verbal abuse. We want to talk about that. And you also have your own story where 21 years you were abused, and you say in your release, you use this word, which is a great word for you in the circumstance. You escaped. Thank God you escaped. Let's talk about you. Your relationship, 21 years. Is this why you guys focus on overcoming domestic abuse, or was that something that you've always wanted to take care of?
Oh no, my current mission of helping women literally escape, that's a good word, domestic abuse, is really born out of that experience. And when I left that relationship with literally only an overnight bag, it was such an unsafe environment that I had to leave. I took an overnight bag, stashed it in the back of my trunk, and just went into hiding for 2.5 years.
Wow.
I realized that it is the most difficult situation that a woman is ever going to go through in her life, because abusers don't make it easy to stay, but they certainly make it even more difficult to leave. And I thought, wow. I was blessed with a job and an advanced degree. So after some years of healing, I went to the Lord and said, what in the world is my next assignment? What do you want me to do with all of this? And he very clearly said, well, I'm calling you to go into the courtroom to help women get out of abuse. You know how difficult it is. You know the games that they play. You know how devastating it is. And we had a little conversation. I was a corporate attorney, and so I really hadn't done much courtroom work. And I said, well, God, I think you got the wrong girl here. I really just want to hold hands and have everyone play nice in the sandbox, and I'm not a litigator that's kind of nasty stuff. And he said, well, I know that, but I gave you this, I gave you a law degree. I gave you some resources. I've allowed you to grow from this experience. You have the personal experience that not many people have. And I'm going to make you the warrior myself. And, after that, I'm like, I got nothing. Okay. So we God won that little argument. And so I stopped my law practice at a big Chicago corporate firm, and then went into started my own, put out my own shingle, and started representing women getting out of abuse.
Wow.
So tell us about the book. The title alone is very it intrigues you. Overcoming the Narcissist, Sociopath, Psychopath, and Other Domestic Abusers, the comprehensive handbook to recognize, remove, and recover from abuse. Talk about those three: narcissist, sociopath, and psychopath. Why those three?
Well, studies have shown that the vast majority of people who abuse others, domestic abusers in this case, have what's called cluster B personality disorders. So those are primarily the personality disorders of narcissistic personality disorder and antisocial personality disorder, from where we get the terms sociopath and psychopath. So those are the vast majority of domestic abusers. Studies have shown that 90% around that have of people in that's identified as abusers or have been identified as abusers have these, and as the abuse gets more severe, that number is closer to 100%. So these are not, they're lifelong dangerous disorders. And I know the psychological world has to give them some type of secular label, but truly in the world of the faith world, these are people are just wicked. They're evil, and they're they have the characteristics are a complete lack of empathy. They show no remorse when they hurt somebody else. In fact, they kind of get a buzz when they hurt somebody else, like, oh, I got away with it, and that person is hurting, and haha for them. So while healthy people, get that, they feel good because they're helping someone, abusers, get that buzz for hurting someone. They have Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde personality. So in front of other people, they're quite charming and charismatic, but behind closed doors, they're very, very different. So in addition to lack of empathy, they have a lack of conscience. They just, they don't really care. They know they're hurting people, but they don't care. But when you have this combination of characteristics, that's a very dangerous place to be. And I think a lot of times churches get it wrong. They want to appeal to someone's conscience and their good nature. And can't you see you're hurting somebody? But they can see that. They just don't care. And they play if they play the pastors and the counselors, and certainly they play their spouses. Because they know they're thinking they're, like a normal person where they have a conscience, but they don't. And they know, so they work fully well in that capacity.
Charlene Quint, she's an author, she's an attorney, and she also is the founder of abusecare.org, which I do want to talk to. Now you've had obviously experience with ladies, and we're specifically talking about ladies and the abuse there. Do you find that there are times, and maybe this is your own story, that, you stayed for 21 years. Are there times that the one that is abused, did they say, well, maybe it'll get better, or maybe it's my fault, or maybe, and there's a lot of maybes there. Is this the opportunity for them to say, hey, maybe I need to talk to somebody and find out, is this really abuse? Am I just softening it up? And maybe I really need help. Is that what you find?
All the time. You've hit the nail on the head. People stay in abusive relationships for a number of reasons, but people of faith stay in abusive relationships for even longer than other people because they keep praying, for their partner. Would God soften his heart? Would God, somehow zap him and make him better? And they also stay because they remember when they were, when they were dating, most of the time, this person pretended to be somebody he was not. When they were dating, there's specific stages and phases of an abusive relationship. And the first stage is, they actually call it love bombing, where someone goes over the top trying to win the affection of this person, so the other person is emotionally and financially hooked and invested. And so when that time comes, usually right at the marriage, or buying a house together or something like that, when those emotional hooks are in, that's when the abuse starts. So the next phase is called the devaluation phase, where the devaluation starts, and then the final phase is the discard phase. But while you're in that devaluation phase, you keep thinking, well, maybe we'll get back to that wonderful stage where we wined and dined. But that was, people don't realize that they've fallen in love with someone that didn't exist. That was just an act to get them into this relationship. Another reason why people stay is because of their children. Is it, and women particularly are they're fighting against themselves. Is it better to stay and protect my children, or is it better to leave and get them out of this? But then, what if he gets full custody, or what? Protect them when they're over at his house and I'm not there anymore. So they stay because of their children. Financial abuse happens in 99% of abusive relationships. And so a lot of people stay because they simply can't afford to get out. They can't they can't leave, and they often have no access to funds, even though they might be living in a beautiful home with a multimillionaire, as I was. They have no access to funds because their name isn't on any of the accounts. So, and maybe she's given up her career. So there's a lot of reasons why people stay, but in the end, most women leave because now their kids are getting involved and you can no longer protect their kids from abuse. So yes, to those people that are wondering, should I stay? Is this really abuse? We soft pedal it. We call it an incident, or we call him, a big personality, or we call him high maintenance, but really it's abusive, and it's not going to get better. It's actually going to escalate over time. We know that. This is, they're quite predictable.
Charlene Quint, attorney and founder of abusecare.org and the author of Overcoming the Narcissist, Psychopath, and a Sociopath and other domestic abusers. And you can pick that up, no doubt, on Amazon, and also her website there, abusecare.org. Charlene, we barely scratched the surface, but we've got to take a break. Would love to talk to you again. You have, what a story you have. Thank you for being bold, courageous, and escaping and stepping out and helping those who have not quite yet escaped. We pray that they will take heed and live a better life for themselves because of your ministry and what you do. Hey, well, let's take a break. We'll be right back. I'm Rick Probst.
And I'm Dan Ratcliffe.
This is Faith Talk Live.